Hey everybody, it's been a minute. There's an echo, and I'm not sure why, and feeling too lazy to fix it right now or detect why it's happening, so I'm just gonna roll. This next interview is with my friend Neve. It's also the first in-person interview I've done, which was a lot of fun. And I met Neve on my frisbee team, the Beach Owls, and I remember we were both getting a ride to a game, and they were having a really interesting conversation with one of our teammates in the front, and I was very impressed with how they conducted themselves and made counterpoint to their argument in a really polite and informative way. I feel like a lot of discourse we have about disagreements these days are very antagonistic. But anyway, Neve, after that night, sent me a text message saying, "Hi, do you want to be friends?" And I don't know, maybe it was just in the deliberate nature of it and the literal definition of like, hey, let's be friends, just made me feel so great. So me and Neve have gotten a lot closer in the last few weeks, and it's been really nice. One of my first really good friends I made in Seattle.
And I am a writer of fictions. I am the heart that you call home. And I've written pages upon pages, trying to rid you from my bones. My bones. My bones.
Hey Neve.
Hey.
Thanks for doing the Nick and Friends podcast.
Oh yeah.
Why don't you introduce yourself and how we met?
I'm Neve. I am a Seattleite, unlike the person interviewing me. And let's see. I am fluent in Spanish. I work at a bakery, and I play a lot of frisbee, which is how I met Nick, who is sitting to my left here. We are both beach owls by way of various friends of friends. Ended up on the same fall league and winter league, and yeah, now I'm here.
Okay. There's your shot.
Thank you.
Here's mine.
Ready?
Cheers.
Arriba, abajo, acentro, adentro.
Okay. What does that mean?
Up, down, in the middle, inside.
Cool. Okay. Actually, you know what? I'm just gonna hold this.
Okay.
And I hope this works out. Okay. First question. What's your greatest athletic feat? You can just hold it, actually. Well, no, because I'm pitching too.
My greatest athletic feat? F-E-A-T.
The what?
Feet.
Oh, F-E-A-T.
Mm-hmm. I would say the long-term ability to, like, continue playing frisbee and, just take care of my body well.
Yeah, because you've been playing since middle school.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, I started here. As part of school.
Best Halloween costume?
I've mostly had really, chaotic, very, like, requiring detailed explanation costumes, but the one I'm most proud of off the dome was my Trick or Treat for UNICEF box costume. I didn't actually know what the box was going to look like that year, but I made my own little box with, like, straps out of duct tape, and I donated. You know, you go Trick or Treat for UNICEF and you donate money to UNICEF, and you feel like you're participating in the United Nations, and it's a very good experience.
Did people donate money, like, to your costume?
They didn't understand what it said because I did not have great handwriting at the time, but
Yeah.
they thought it was very charming. Yeah, it was also October in Seattle, so it was pouring.
Mm-hmm.
So the rule about Halloween costumes as a kid was you needed to be able to wear lots and lots of layers, and it's hard to wear a cardboard box
Yeah.
in the rain. But that year, I went with a friend who was a jellyfish that had an umbrella. It's like an umbrella with stuff hanging out of it, so I got to stay dry, which was very good for me.
Does it usually rain on Halloween?
Almost always.
Almost always.
Without fail, pretty
Okay.
much.
Okay. Where I grew up, it was like devastating. So we had it very, very good. What's something you're better at than anyone you know?
Making friends.
I'd agree with that.
Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like anytime we go rock climbing and we like lose track of each other for a second, I always turn a corner and see you talking to someone.
Yeah.
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 It's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
What's the worst concert you've ever been to?
Have I been to bad concerts? I've pretty much lucked out. There's always been something redeemable about a concert, I think.
Okay.
Worst concert. There's been most disappointing concerts.
Well, let's go with that.
Or, like, in hindsight, it was pretty bad. Okay, so I went to see Motion City Soundtrack, who's one of my favorite bands growing up. It was, like, the 25th anniversary of one of their albums, and I went with, like, my best friend who had introduced me to I went with two best friends. And the opener was this. It was, like, one guy and a drum machine, and, I knew what we'd smelled like, but I really learned that night. And, yeah, we saw him after the show, and we're like, hey, great set. And he had no idea he had performed recently. And it was like, oh, this is more than just weed. Like, wow. Like, I thought you were, like, fine as a rapper, but as a performer, if I ever choose to do that, I would like to know, like,
Yeah.
where I am at
that's-
the time of a concert. I was like,
That's really creepy.
he's been touring for a while. Yeah, and we were high schoolers, so it was a little strange.
It makes me think about, because obviously, like, drug use was so pervasive in the 80s with, like, rock and roll performers and stuff, and how it makes me wonder if just, that was their shtick, right? Just they just, like, got super drugged up and just didn't remember performing.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I don't know. I like to think we have more coping mechanisms available to us now, but I'm not sure we do.
me too. What was your favorite cereal as a kid? Or now, honestly?
Cheerios.
Cheerios?
And cornflakes.
Not,
I know.
no sugar?
Nope. I, like, didn't grow up with it, and I don't like them very much.
Was it like your parents didn't buy them for you?
Yeah, we had the honey nut Cheerios, which aren't very good. I
don't
really
like
just
Honey
like
Nut Cheerios,
I
but they're
really
not-
just like cornflakes.
Did you add, like, honey or sugar?
No, I just want milk and cornflakes. Also, shredded oats. R.I.P. shredded oats. The name, but they're Barbara's. Also, puffins. Puffins have sugar in them. Love me some puffins. It was I had memories of seeing puffins in Southern California, and then they're at the aquarium here, and so it's like, puffins. The cinnamon kind, to clarify. Only the cinnamon kind.
When I was in, puffins are 10 out of 10.
Absolutely.
when
Oh
I
my
was
god,
in-
so that's the only option I've given that you find acceptable?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
I was on the train
The light
from
rail?
from Sacramento to San Francisco last week,
Okay.
and the conductor came by to check everyone's tickets, and my mom had gotten me a box of Fruity Pebbles for my birthday.
Uh-huh.
And I just had it in a bag, and it was like sticking out the top, and he was checking my ticket, and he's like, "That's the best cereal in the world, by the way."
Whoa. That is a bold claim that I disagree with.
I
Yeah.
hardcore agree
But
with
I
it.
would love to have you convince me otherwise. I'd love, like, a curated experience with it.
Sure. Unfortunately, I left my box at my old roommate's house.
Well, too bad. There's no more Fruity Pebbles in the world.
Yeah.
Limited resource.
Okay, I was also going to say that when I was in San Francisco last week, my friend Romy was wearing a sweatshirt that had a puffin on it.
Okay.
And so we were talking about puffins.
Yeah.
And I came up with this prank that I ended up not doing, which I really regret. I was going to try to convince my friend that if I said, like, "Whoa, Neve, you're straight puffin right now," it means, like, you've got good style.
Uh-huh.
So I was going to get, I was going to say it to my friend, and she was going to be like, I'm puffin, what does that mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I was going to be like, oh, I've heard a bunch of people in Seattle say it. It just means, like, you got good style.
Yeah, Seattleites with the slang, for sure.
Yeah, and I was going to have my friends Anna and TJ be like, oh, I've heard that. Oh, I've seen that on TikTok. And see if I could convince my friend that puffin is a thing. Because it kind of sounds like it could be slang. Whoa, you're puffin, right? Like,
I was on a date last night and someone told me, I was served my drink in a peacock-shaped glass, and the person I had just met and was on a date with was like, "Oh yeah, you're just like a peacock," and I was like, "That's not something anyone says," and I'm not, but thank you. So I'm glad bird-related appearance gaslighting.
Did you take it as a compliment?
Well, we had to talk about it later, because to me, being a peacock is like super showy and like loud and big and taking up a lot of room, and he just meant it pretty, which was good. He'd had time to come up with that line though, so I'm not sure it's what he meant in the moment.
Okay, but you didn't talk about it immediately.
No, we did. I
Oh.
kind of looked at him and looked at the bartender. It was like,
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, it was
okay.
good.
What was your worst subject in school growing up?
I didn't really have one.
Hmm.
Disliked art projects that didn't involve being messy. Like, maximizing mess was really my goal in school, particularly being outside. But I was good at most subjects and I enjoyed it a lot. Yeah, I thought I struggled with math a lot more than I actually did.
Mm-hmm.
But I enjoy math and science. It's really cool. But I come from a family of writers. Big writing, big into history. I've gotten less into history over time, though. Yeah.
What's your favorite color?
Teal and purple together. But not, like, mixed. That just makes brown.
I like that, you said something that's not just, like, in the rainbow, like green, blue, red, yellow.
No,
Like you
teal
got
is objectively
a
the
layer
best color,
deeper.
and I will fight you on that.
Teal's good. Do you remember Game Boy Colors?
Nick. Do I remember Game Boy is the question.
Alright, fine. Well, like, Game Boy Colors came out and,
In what year?
like, 96?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
I don't know. Maybe you saw it in a museum or something.
Like
But
the computer museum?
yeah, there are video game museums.
Yeah.
But yeah, there were different
Well,
colors, and everyone chose theirs, and teal was top tier.
Yeah.
So, jeez, I'm trying to tell you.
Trying to
that
be
was good.
relatable to the youth. Is that what's happening? Good.
What was your favorite vacation as a kid?
Had some good ones. We did a 6-week cross-country road trip one summer. That was definitely the best, though.
How old were you?
I was going into 6th grade, and my sister was going into 9th grade.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay, so you started in Seattle, and where'd you go to?
Maine.
Oh, okay.
And then we spent 2 weeks on Cape Cod. Then we came back, and we hit 28 states. And I've been to like 46 total.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Do you have a memorable experience from each one?
Each state?
Like, can you think about...
Yes, we have photos, and then my sister was keeping... I was keeping some type of journal, but hers was much more organized, which makes sense. And so, like, we like, look through it sometimes as a family, and I have pretty clear memories of each thing happening, and I've been back to some of those places, or, like, thought about going back. Like, Wind Cave in Wyoming is, like, by far the coolest place we saw. It's this, like, really complex, like, 500 miles of caves underground that people have not been able to explore all of because they keep getting lost. But you know the story about it's like I'm gonna get clocked for this. It's either Greek or Roman, and it's the guy going through the maze with the, like, ball of string,
I don't think I've heard
like
of it.
through the Minotaur's maze.
Hmm.
Yeah, like, people, non-indigenous people, the white people who came and were like, oh, a cave, it's super dark in here, let me go in. Yeah, they would, like, leave string to, like, find their way out of the cave. But it has this thing called boxwork in the ceiling, which is okay, I'm gonna mess this up, but I think it's limestone that's been eroding over thousands of years, and it creates these, like, really complex geometric shapes in the ceiling, so it looks like there are, like, tile work patterns in the ceiling. Yeah, look it up. It's very cool. And super spooky place to take your kids, like, not gonna lie. Like, I love me some caves, but also they're deeply haunted and should be best left alone.
Was there something you were particularly scared of as a kid? Like...
I was scared of getting locked in the bathroom on an airplane.
Oh.
Yeah.
Did you do a lot of flying?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. What about, like, monsters under your bed or, like, in the
No.
closet? No?
Monsters are friendly. I grew up with Monsters, Inc., so it was good.
Wow, it's a clutch movie to see as a kid. Do you have any favorite YouTube channels?
Yeah, Nick, I watch so much Trixie Mattel. It's like unreal.
Who's that?
She is a Rue girl, so she was on RuPaul's Drag Race many seasons, and her thing is that she dresses like the most exaggerated Malibu Barbie imaginable. So like watching her do her makeup is like this surreal experience because her eyeballs are like the complete wrong size. She is not my favorite YouTuber. I really like her. I watch a lot of Ultimate Reels. I watch a lot of other stuff, I guess.
Ultimate Reels Frisbee related?
Yeah, like Frisbee Reels through like what used to be known as Major League Ultimate or the AUDL. I'm thinking I really like watching interviews with actors, like deep cut interviews, to get a sense of their personalities.
Sure.
I love watching Vogue. They do like my life in pictures, and then Vanity Fair does like a timeline of my career. So just listening to people right, it's just people talking about like, this is where I got started and I was so nervous about this role, and like, you know, it's more fun to interact with than a printed interview.
That reminds me, have you heard of the movie Pig?
No.
So it stars Nicolas Cage.
Okay.
And he is
in what era?
Modern.
Cage?
Oh, it came out a few years ago.
Okay.
So Nicolas Cage plays a mushroom farmer, and he has this partner. It's set in Portland, or like outside of Portland, and he has this partner who like works in downtown Portland and is kind of like a yuppie character. He's like, he drives like a Lamborghini. He's kind of a douche. Anyway, Nicolas Cage has this pig that he uses to like find these truffle mushrooms.
Oh, okay.
But then someone steals the pig, and so he goes on this journey to track it down. Eventually there comes a point in the story where they can't find the pig and they're about to give up. And the kind of douchey character is like, you know, we could like start a new business, you know, like start something in Portland, not Seattle. And then Nicolas Cage is like, fuck Seattle. And then that's the end of the scene.
Wow.
I was curious your thoughts on that.
People feel very strongly about that. I will answer this question, but I do want to know if you've heard about the theory of, it's like a film theory that's also a meme of being able to track the history of film over the past 50 years through Nicolas Cage's development as a actor. You should check it out. It's very enlightening.
I should. Yeah, I mean, Nicolas Cage is more to me than just a meme. Like, he's a very talented actor, and he chooses such interesting movies.
He does, yeah. Also some very silly roles. I've mostly seen him in silly things. As to the fuck Seattle stuff, I think there's something to that.
Certainly.
I think that Portland has a soul in a different way than Seattle has right now. I think Seattle's been corporatized, and everyone and their parents will tell you that. But, like, I went to Portland pretty recently. It was the summer, and it was like, oh, wow, like, it feels like the community is gathering. And then I realized I was going and doing activities I don't do here. So then I like went to my freaking farmer's market and I was like, the community is gathering. But Portland still feels like a small town in a way that Seattle used to feel like. But I mean, I've run into 5 friends from high school in the past week and a half. Like, so I can't complain too much, but just the skyline is totally different now than it used to be. And I don't think that's bad.
Yeah, same in San Francisco.
Yeah.
It's just takes getting used to.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a larger conversation that I don't know, when I saw it, it was a few months ago, so it's still somewhat new, and like I've been to Portland a few times, and I like it a lot. It's great. One of my best friends lives there now.
Mine too. That's so fun.
Yeah. But I also kind of feel like the keep Portland weird philosophy has kind of been exploited in its own way, in like a corporate way.
Sure. Yeah.
And
Houston's adopted it too.
Oh, has it?
Yeah.
Keep Houston weird?
Mm-hmm.
Is Houston even
or
weird?
Austin. It's Austin. Keep Austin
yeah, okay,
weird.
Austin. Yeah. I haven't been to Austin yet.
Yeah.
I want to go someday, but I have also heard it's not as cool as people say it is.
Yeah. Portland is worth the hype though.
Okay.
I just can't be mad about that. Yeah. Portland, they're like really cool musicians coming out of there, and like it's really interesting because our ecosystem is so connected to theirs, but we're so far apart geographically. But there's a lot of like trade and transit that has to happen between our two ports, but like Seattle's port is just significantly bigger, and that says a lot about why we've developed the way we have and why they haven't. Yeah.
Okay. Actually, we have time for one more before the 20-minute mark, and we have another shot. Would you
Oh,
rather,
understood. Yeah.
Would you rather get shot in the knee or both elbows?
Ugh, this is a terrible question.
I know.
Yeah. I'm shot in the knee or both elbows. I'm gonna say elbows because I don't have a reason not to. Oh man.
I mean, it's gonna affect.
Losing walking ability would, be really hard. I think both would be devastating, but recovery is possible. Yeah. How about you?
I don't know. I've never had to answer it. I don't think I've actually asked anyone this question either. It's a new one.
So you're just gonna cop out as
I'd probably do elbows.
Okay. Why?
Because I'd like to be able to walk and jog and stuff.
Yeah. Well, can you jog without elbows?
Yeah.
Would you have to amputate the elbow down? Or
No,
would it just be
in theory, you'd successly recover in I don't know,
neurological
2
damage?
years or something like that. Yeah.
Huh. I mean, it would be kind of fun to have a Doctor Strange arc. I would appreciate that, but that's really more his hands than his elbows. And he has way more bullshit going on in his life than I do.
You do not turn into a mystic warrior, unfortunately. That'd be another question. Would you turn into a mystic warrior?
If given the option, would I have to does he go to Kathmandu?
Yeah, it would require you eventually saving the world at some point.
I think I'm bound to do that anyway. Yeah, with my charm.
Favorite cartoon when you were a kid?
Favorite cartoon, Powerpuff Girls.
Which Powerpuff Girl in particular did you like the most?
Bubbles.
Everyone likes Bubbles.
Yeah. I also really like Buttercup. Yeah. I thought Blossom was kind of a boring character.
Kind of bossy.
Yeah. Well, just annoying. Bubbles was fun because she cried a lot, and then Buttercup was fun because she would beat you up, but was a super loyal friend. And Blossom was just I don't know who put her in charge.
Like the Captain America of the Powerpuff Girls, and they have to have
but not as
only
boring.
Positive traits.
Yeah, Captain America's so boring.
Yeah.
She at least gets to be pink, and fly. They fly, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they have the best theme song ever.
Yeah.
And best villains. Yeah, I think about them a lot.
Do you remember the episode of the Rowdy Rough Boys?
I was just going to ask you if you heard.
I really like that one.
Yeah.
Okay, it's time for shot.
Thank God. Oh. Alright, you'll know this one. Scold?
Scolds. I learned that in a Assassin's Creed game.
Wow.
Yeah.
What language is it, though?
Nordic?
Is Nordic a language?
Probably not.
I think it's Danish.
Norse?
But it might not be. Is Norse a language? I don't know. Wouldn't Norwegian be the language? Norse, gods, Greek. I don't know. Because, Roman's not a language.
Yeah.
But Greek is.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. I think I've asked you this one before.
Oh, no.
What's the most interesting conversation you've ever had?
Wow, if you've asked me this, I have no idea how I replied. The most interesting conversation I've ever had. I think every time I get my grandma talking about her childhood, it's just so fun to listen to her have these really vivid memories. There was one time when she was telling me about this house in the country they had in outside of Buffalo, New York, and she was describing the entire floor plan, each room in detail. This might have been how I answered this question, actually.
Nope.
Oh, okay.
I was gonna ask if she goes on tangents or if she's very
No, she's super focused, very deliberate with her storytelling, but the way her dementia is impacting her is that she clearly has significant gaps in her memory, but what she does remember is her under the age of 12, pretty much, or 15.
Okay.
So I'm learning a ton about my great-grandfather and a ton about what it was like to be Jewish in the 50s, pretty much in the 40s. So that's super fun. And then she'll like forget that she said a sentence already. But yeah, no, lots of conversations like that are super interesting. And people just tell me shit, Nick. It's crazy.
I feel like I told you a lot of shit today.
Yeah.
Do you talk to your grandma about when you were a kid? Like, do you try to relate your experiences with hers?
Oh yeah. So okay. This is maybe the cutest thing you'll ever hear in your life, but my grandma has a tape deck that is full of recordings of every time I've ever left her a voice message in my entire life. So every time I would leave a message, it would play on the machine and she'd hit record on her tape machine. And one of her favorite things to do to embarrass me and to like bring her joy, but mostly to embarrass me, is to play it while I'm in the room and we like reminisce, or we like figure out what was happening in the moment. And yeah, there's this really great recording of me being like, Grandma, preschool is so hard. And yeah, I really can't relate that to her because I don't know what her preschool experience was like, but no, she grew up in a completely different time period and context than I did. Yeah.
What are some things you have in common, or you can both resonate with?
Just like really enjoying spending time with our dads. Like that's a pretty clear theme between us. Yeah.
God, your dad sounds so cool.
Yeah, he's the fucking best, I'm telling you.
What's your favorite book?
I don't know right now. I'm between favorite books. I really love The Name of the Wind. It's just like, it's the only fantasy book I've ever really, really read and like really become invested in. And the third book still isn't out yet, but it was promised initially in like 2012. So the Killer Chronicle is still not done, but it's really good writing. And my best friend in middle and high school introduced me to it, and then I realized that my entire friend group had read it already, and so I had like stuff in common. But the problem with this book is that I superimpose memories from like my life or movies on top of what I read, so it's just like this very layered experience of reading it.
Yeah, I mean that happens especially when you're going through like transitionary or like transformative years of your life, I've noticed.
What does?
Like applying and attaching memories with different forms of media.
Yeah, it's so fun. And then you're like, wow, did that happen or did I read about it? I don't know.
It's funny, I know my friend Alex has the same experience, or maybe Justin actually, but there's this Strokes album.
Okay.
And I can't listen to it without thinking of this certain video game.
Yeah.
Because like I was playing this game for the first time at the same time this album came out. And I just get like very vivid images in my head of that game.
Oh yeah.
What would your life look like right now if you had ended up marrying your first crush?
Oh no. My first crush. Actually, it would be fine. My first crush is doing great. I'm very proud of him. We're like friends on Instagram. He's doing such cool things. What would it look like? I think it would be really fun. But I don't think I would get to do all of the interests I have. I think we would either be distant or together, but like not in Seattle. And it's very important to me to be in Seattle at this point in my life. But I think we'd be pretty happy just like existing as people in some potentially, probably platonic capacity. I think he'd be a good friend. Yeah.
No one I've done this interview with has not been in a like committed relationship. Yeah, and I don't expect any of the people I plan on interviewing will be like, oh my god, like it'd be amazing, like I have to think about it every day, like but I still like asking it. Yeah, it's more about, or what did you like about them? I mean, that's kind of what I want to try to get to the heart of. It's like, what appealed to you about them in the first place?
Well, something I liked about him was that his last name was similar to mine, so I got to have a locker next to him. That was good. He also like would sit next to me on the bus, and we would have like just really lovely conversations, pretty much about nothing. But he just like wanted to be friends, and we got to be friends, and it was really fun.
Do you think he had a crush on you?
I have no idea. I don't think so. I think he's gay.
Hmm.
He might be. I don't know. But I have had crushes on people who I think, like, are just really awesome people, and I hope they're doing well, or I hope that we're still friends, and they, like, maybe never know that I had a crush on them, or do. Yeah, I'm not sure it matters if they know or not.
There is a bittersweetness to it, I suppose.
Yeah. How old are most people talking about when you interview their first crush?
The first person was 27. Next person was 32.
No, I'm talking about, like, when they had their first crush.
Okay. I think. I interviewed Anna first, and she was telling me about someone in high school. And then my friend Hillary told me about someone in elementary school. Like, it might have even been, like, 3rd grade.
Yeah. I don't know. I grew up with really nice people who mostly haven't turned out to be assholes. So I've kind of lucked out in that way. Yeah.
I can't even make a sly comment about that, because most of the people I grew up with are pretty chill, too.
Yeah. Isn't that great?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's something you're awful at that you're embarrassed to admit?
Oh my god, so many things, Nick. I'm, like, actually really bad at Frisbee, and I wish more people would, like, just agree with me on that, because it's real and it's true and I need to get better. I'm terrible at Ultimate, though. Like, actually objectively bad.
Ultimate?
Yeah, it's a...
Oh, I know.
It's a Frisbee-related sport that involves a hoop. It's more like it's like half-court basketball, hockey-style subbing, played with a Frisbee.
Yeah, I don't like it either.
Oh, I like it. I'm just very bad at it.
Oh, okay. I don't like it.
What else am I bad at? Nick, I'm bad at so many things. I'm really bad at swimming. I'm really bad
But I mean something like you're actually embarrassed to talk about.
Embarrassed to talk about. Yeah, I'm really bad at video games also.
Okay. Why are you embarrassed about that?
I think I'm embarrassed because, like, you seemed to be under the impression that I at least would, like, not suck terribly. And I don't know if that was just you, but I've been in conversations where people are like, oh yeah, Neve's probably, like, fine. I was like, no, I'm actually very bad at it. Yeah, I'm not embarrassed about how bad I am at soccer, because I've lived in Spanish-speaking countries, and it's like, yes, I cannot compare to that type of childhood where you're playing it all the time. Oh yeah, I'm embarrassed about lots of things I'm bad at.
That's interesting to me, because I feel like when I was growing up, it was endearing to not be good at video games. Because it showed, like, oh, you don't play video games? Like, you're cool.
You're cool.
Yeah. You were cool if you didn't play video games back in the day.
Okay, well, 1, you're making yourself sound like you're 8,000 years old. And 2, like, I don't know, I grew up with a bunch of nerds. Everyone played video games.
Yeah, I mean, it was cooler to be a nerd. Or at least, like, socially acceptable, less taboo.
When I was growing up.
Yeah. Which is dope.
I also was in an accelerated program of nerds. So
Sure.
I, like, you know, the sample size was of 1.
Is there a friendship from some point in your life you regret losing?
I've gotten them back, the ones I've regretted. Yeah, I'm super lucky that way.
Do you want to talk about it or no?
It was more, it's just been, like, I think COVID's been a lot of it, and then Facebook as a normalizing factor in reconnecting with people, and, like, growing up with Facebook, and just, it's just, like, very okay to text someone you haven't seen in, like, a billion years and be like, hey, how's it going? At least the people I've interacted with. So it's been mostly about, like, wow, we are in the same place at the same time, finally, and we can just chat. Yeah, it's been very good.
Anyone that you've been meaning to have that kind of conversation with that might not necessarily feel like you're in a bad place with them, but you just want to reconnect with?
Probably. I just did a lot of this work with Rosh Hashanah, like I was telling you about how there are 10 days between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur where you have, like, time to rebuild relationships. So that happened in September or October of this year, so pretty recent. I would definitely say that there are people from college who, like, I was on a track to be good friends with, and then COVID like threw a huge curveball in my life. But I would say I'm friendly with those people, and it'll happen over time. Yeah.
What was your favorite toy when you were a kid?
I really, really, really liked Hot Wheels. Like, a lot.
I had some Hot Wheels.
I had boxes, like, nice boxes of Hot Wheels.
Did you have the tracks, too?
I did not have the tracks. I was in it for how cool they looked, more than anything.
Did you grow up to be a car person?
I love cars. I actually saw the coolest Cadillac on the way here. It was like from like the mid to late 50s and had like the huge fins and was like the man looked like he was driving a boat. He was driving down Roosevelt, and I was like, damn, that is a cool car that belongs in a diner somewhere. Yeah, I do really like cars.
Do you have any ambitions to buy a classic car or something?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
No, I want to look at it with other people having it. But like there's a huge like old car show it is on Greenwood. It might just be Finneywood every summer, and it's so fun because people pull out their classic cars. You probably noticed this year, but like people will just drive these like beautifully refurbished vehicles like down 45th like in August, and a bunch of them would come into the popsicle shop. Like the kids would pile out and be like, our dad is so cool, he did this thing to the car. It's like, yes. So I love that energy. I love like the like father-kid bonding stuff. I love doing auto shopping class in high school. I also just think that they're really cool and fun to look at.
I feel like this is going to be a tough question for you.
Oh no.
What's something that your parents forced you to do when you were a kid, or rule that you hated, but in retrospect you've grown to appreciate or respect?
Nick, they made me play Frisbee.
They made you.
My dad told me I had better, like, he was like, I'm signing you up for Frisbee whether you like it or not. And I was like, well, shit. I guess I like,
Well, why didn't you want to in the first place?
Because I was good at soccer. And it was fun. And also because he told me to, Like, it had been his thing, I wanted my own thing.
Yeah.
But he was absolutely right, and Frisbee's great.
Yeah, my dad always wanted me to play pool, and I feel like that was like an active reason why I never did.
Oh, that is something I'm a little embarrassed about how bad at I am. But it's so fun, I don't care.
Yeah, it's also like something you play at a bar, Like, it's kind of funny how people are missed shots, right? Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm fine.
I think I'm
being
embarrassed
mediocre at it.
by having only played pool with either really drunk Spaniards or like physics majors who can't explain things in normal person terms. So I really need just like a regular person to be like, okay, you want to hit the ball this way so it goes that way. Because otherwise, I've been in too many conversations about topspin and I'm over it. Like, that's a word I'd like to not hear.
I'm just curious if, like, a master's in physics means you can apply that to pool successfully.
They might be more like majored in mathematics, so maybe not physics exactly, but yes, no, they apply it to pool, and it's like, you're speaking words in a language I don't understand, and you're not helping me. I thought we were friends. How dare you not interpret for me? Yeah, rude.
What's the best gift you've ever gotten?
Best gift overall has been friendship, Nick, obviously. Best physical gift was a Razor scooter when I was 8 years old. It was a blue Razor scooter from my parents.
Like the wheels or the whole body?
The whole body was blue. It was a cool-ass scooter. I freaking love that thing. Yeah.
You know what's really stupid?
Tell me.
When I was a kid, I had some money, and
Whoa.
I'm talking like $80.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
this was what, like the 40s?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 had just come out.
I don't know what that is.
It's a dope video game. Yeah.
Okay.
But also, Razor scooters were huge at the time. And I really wanted a Razor scooter, my own Razor scooter.
Because they're so cool.
Yeah. And my brother was like, no, Nick, you gotta get Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2.
Oh, so you were torn between the two.
And he kind of like willed me,
because he wanted to play.
Coerced me into buying Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2.
Bummer.
My mom did buy us a Razor scooter for Christmas, like a year later or something.
Aren't they
but-
fun?
Yeah, they're the best. I wish mine still worked. Like, they're super great. I wish
mine
it
was
wasn't-
taller.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. It's a little impractical.
I feel like it's gotten a little, like, maybe not now, but like 10 years ago it was kind of considered like lame. At least like when I was in high school. So maybe like
I do not know what you're talking about.
maybe like 10, 12 years ago it was kind of lame to be riding a Razor scooter.
Wow.
Yeah. But now I feel like they're awesome, and I wish I had one. Like, if I worked downtown or something, I'd fucking love to ride a Razor scooter to work.
Instead of a Lime?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like getting home would suck, obviously, but
Yeah.
getting there in the morning would be dope.
But it's like all hills here.
Yeah.
Motorized things are just not bad.
Oh,
I just
totally.
wish people wore helmets and that there were
expensive.
more bike lanes.
Yeah. And I'm still young enough to ride an actual bike around. When I'm older, for sure, I'll get an electric bike, and it'll be awesome.
Yeah.
What's your least favorite attribute / behavior in people?
Least favorite attribute is definitely oversharing from the jump. Just like lack of understanding of boundaries.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Sounds like it happens to you quite often.
Yeah, and it's super annoying. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that says something about me too. That is definitely, worth working on.
What's a decoration somewhere in your house that not many guests have commented on that you're surprised about?
There's like a Dr. Barbie in a box in like a pretty obvious spot, and I wish more people were like, damn, you guys must be feminists. Yeah.
How's that? When was the last time you had an Eggo waffle?
It's been a while. Do you have any?
No.
Damn.
I almost bought some.
Nick, what's wrong with you?
Because me and my friends were talking about it a few weeks ago. My Call of Duty friends that I was telling you about.
Yeah.
We got into a big debate over like which is the best.
Do you remember
one.
Lego My Eggo from Glee?
Not from Glee. I mean,
Okay.
I remember the commercials.
I don't know what that is, but okay. There's this like really great scene where I think it's Puck says Lego My Eggo. Like he's been building up to it, but it's like a scene in prison, and you're like, I don't know why this happened. Can you paint the scene of the commercial for me?
I mean, it was just like, I don't know, the Eggo waffles like pop out of the toaster, and like two people go to grab the same one, and then the person who put it in the toaster's like, Lego My Eggo, and then I think Bart Simpson was part of the campaign for a while.
No, that's his dad.
Yeah.
Got you.
But yeah, the whole tagline was Lego My Eggo.
I'm embarrassed of how bad my impressions are, so I want to know if you have any good Bart Simpson impressions that you can do to demonstrate this
Well,
commercial.
Bart is mainly known for like, you better not lay a finger on my Butterfinger. That's not, I mean, that's just like my impression of a kid voice. It's not Bart. Homer is like, don't! That was also pretty bad. But
That's
you were
pretty
like,
bad.
don't.
Yeah, no, mine was definitely worse, but yours was pretty bad too. Can you sing the Spider Pig song for me in Homer's voice?
Spider Pig, does whatever a Spider Pig does.
Oh yeah.
I'm not an impressionist.
No. No, it's just a great song. I was enjoying the musicality of it. That's why I laughed.
I feel like I haven't done an impression in so long that there was a part of me that thought like, oh, I'm a good impressionist, but then realized it's been like 15 years since I've done an impression.
You are in improv. What do you mean?
Yeah, but I'm not. That's a skill I'm trying to work on. It's like
Improv?
changing my voice and like
Oh.
physicality.
Oh.
It's something I don't do as often as I should. Anyway, it's time for shot number 3.
Okay, let's go.
Okay. Can you pour this time? I feel like I didn't do a good job last time.
Yeah, how full do you want yours?
To the top. That's good. Nice.
That's actually to the top.
Wow.
Okay. We said skull already. We can
Prost.
do L'chaim.
L'chaim.
No, it's a ch.
L'chaim.
Okay.
L'chaim.
L'ch.
L'chaim.
It's more guttural, like. Ch.
L'chaim. L'chaim.
You need more phlegm in your throat. Yeah. L'chaim. It means to life in
L'chaim.
Hebrew. Cheers.
To life. I love phase 3 questions.
One more time.
I said I love phase 3 questions.
Phase 3. Got it.
What was the key decision you made at some point in your life that you look back on knowing that things would have turned out completely differently if you'd gone in a different direction?
My answers are so boring to this one. Playing a different sport, having different friends,
It's not boring.
going to a different college.
If it has repercussions.
Yeah, but it's like, yeah, obviously that's going to change it. I'm going to think of something maybe a little more interesting. I think a more interesting take would be like I was abroad when COVID hit. I was studying abroad. It was spring of my junior year. And if I had chosen to stay with my host mom instead of returning to the U.S. as I did, I would have a different life, I think. Because of the 9 people in my program, I would say 5 of us came home and 4 of us stayed. And the country went into full lockdown. Like, you weren't allowed on the streets except to go grocery shopping. Mm-hmm. And, my friends just bonded with their host parents in this, like, amazing and beautiful way. But we're, like, so far from home. And then I think that was really defining in their relationships. And it was a really kind of, like, unexpected but, like, really intense way of seeing, like, who was really close to their family in the way I was. And who was, like, whose parents were like, no, like, you're abroad. You should be abroad and have this experience. And mine was definitely influenced by my mom working at the Hutch and being around epidemiologists saying, hey, this isn't going to get better. And I'm kind of glad I got out when I did because the airports were shutting down. Mm-hmm. And it was a little scary. But, yeah, everyone in my graduating class has a different story about being stuck somewhere during COVID. So that would definitely be one story about, like, a diverging pathway. I think if I stayed on the East Coast after graduating or wanted to be invested in national politics, I mean, I studied politics both domestically and in Latin America in college, and the thing that really hit me was that, like, Seattle politics are so different than Maryland politics. They're so different than people's perception. Like, Marylanders' perception of Seattle is, like, non-existent, and I have a decent sense of the nation, but, like, when you're in Maryland, like, physically going to school there, it's like, whoa, our needs are super different here, and the needs of, like, the Puget Sound area are so unique geographically, and,
more complicated or just different?
Just different. And it makes sense that they're more leftists in this part of the country than closer to DC. But it was also really interesting having lived abroad with, you know, in countries that had socialist governments, to understand what socialism actually is and how the U.S.'s political sphere is much more right-leaning than left-leaning, and that our center isn't actually the center, and, like, AOC is pretty conservative, and, like, she said she will tell you that as much, and she has in interviews, and that she and Bernie aren't even in the same party. So, like, I think my life would be different if I stayed in DC. I think I would need to be much more straight-laced than I am, but also if I'd gone, you know, to Latin America after college, and I really wanted to, but the way that COVID was being treated in Latin America was not as, sorry, I'm thinking in Spanish again, not as effective as it was in Europe. Like, the vaccine rate in Spain was 98% when I went there, and Latin America systematically does not have the infrastructure for that, and then a lot of that is the US's fault, and so, like, giving them time to, like, be in community with each other and not need to deal with an American intruder, was pretty important to me. So, had things been different, could have done it. So, yeah, I think there are a lot of ways my life could have played out. But I think they all would have been super fucking lucky. I'm not gonna lie.
Knowing yourself now, do you think you would have thrived in DC, or would you have been struggling? Okay.
Oh, I was gonna struggle.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was clear to me, like, the first time I visited as a kid. I was like, this is not for me.
Sure.
Yeah. Also, if my family had stayed in SoCal, I would have struggled.
Do you have a favorite song?
No.
It's okay.
But I really like This Must Be the Place by the Talking Heads. And I really like I'll Be Your Girl by the Decemberists.
So that's why you had such a visceral
reaction. Yeah, because I love them. I grew up listening to them. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I'll Be Your Girl by the Decemberists was my top listened to song in 2022, as was all of Bad Bunny's latest album.
On the Bus Mall used to be my favorite song by the Decemberists.
What album?
Picturesque.
I don't know that one as well.
One of their very early ones. It has the engine driver on it too.
I don't know anything about
I'll
that.
play it for
Wait,
you
but
after.
I saw them on the Your Girl, Your Ghost tour, which was very fun. Yeah, they had a whole whale. They brought up.
I saw that tour.
Wasn't that
Yeah,
fun?
it was.
Yeah, where did you see them?
Fox Theater in Oakland.
Nice. I saw them at the Anthem in DC, which is very fun.
Cool.
Yeah, it was definitely weird because they have a song where they're singing about being a spy for the government and like pissing on statues or something, and you could tell that people in the audience like worked for the government and they were like, ooh, maybe don't say bad things about it.
Yeah.
But it was also during Trump's reign of terror, so it was like, woo.
Sure.
But here, totally, like the hometown crowd, I get they're from Portland, totally different.
What's something you don't like about yourself?
I can't believe you make me answer this question without needing to also answer it.
Something I think about on a daily basis, so it's not news to me.
Something I don't like about myself. I like most things about myself. I think I dislike that I don't usually know what I'm going to say until I say it. I think a little more predictability on my end would be helpful.
So you're saying you do not have a filter?
I do have a filter. I just, like, this would happen in class. Like, I'd be like, I know I have a point in here somewhere. Let me get there. I guess verboseness.
Okay. I like that answer. Because I appreciate both sides of that. I appreciate people who, like, are well-intentioned with their words, but I also appreciate, I don't know, at the same time, I like people who just get there eventually. Like, they express their point in the end, but it's important enough that they make their point to begin with.
But some people take too goddamn long,
Sure.
and I try to not do that.
Yeah.
I think I'm okay at it.
Yeah. Because you can also, like, be quick to say nothing at all.
Sure.
Yeah. What's something you did when you were younger that you're ashamed of, but you grew from it or learned something?
Yeah, I bit someone while I was sharing a boat with them. It was a 2-person boat at the Center for Wooden Boats. It's an 8-foot-long wooden boat.
You told me about
I
this.
would not recommend biting the person who is helping you
was
stay
it
afloat.
awkward afterwards? Or?
No, it was great. We were besties the whole week. Yeah, I don't know. Your question was about regrets as a kid. Yeah, I probably would have bitten fewer people. But I think that's an important part of my villain arc or whatever. And what else do I regret? I wish I'd rolled in more dirt.
Enrolled in what?
Rolled in more dirt.
Rolled in more dirt.
Rolled. Yeah.
That's very not Calvin and Hobbes of you.
Yeah. I rolled in a lot of dirt as a kid, but I could have rolled in much more. Yeah.
Who's someone you once admired that you no longer do?
I'm gonna say all of the first wave feminists. So, like, Susan B. Anthony, Elizabeth Cady Stanton. Still respect them, just, like, would rather learn about the black women doing activism at the time. They're also authors I can think of. Like, there's a particular Indigenous author who's local who got Me Too'd when Tarana Burke's movement really took off, who I definitely don't respect as much anymore, which is a bummer. Yeah, I would say it's generally for, like, being a shitty person reasons.
Why are they shitty now?
Why are they It's just, like this guy just, like, was a guest lecturer, and he would, like, take advantage of students who were, like, much younger. Like, underage. Yeah, which is pretty shitty. I don't know. There's some people who I used to admire who I don't admire anymore for less deep reasons. It's more just like, wow, like, my opinions shifted a little, or I'm more, they're not my favorite anymore. But I would say the big, like, disillusionment has come from, oh, you actually suck as a person.
Mm-hmm.
Like Johnny Depp. Yeah, bummer.
What's the best compliment you've ever gotten?
I'd say most compliments I've gotten have been pretty great. I think the best compliment I've been given is, like, sustained eye contact from a friend, or, like, when they hug me as long as I need them to hug me. Yeah. Or as long as
Okay.
I'm hugging back. Yeah.
Hmm. Tell me about yourself.
I'm fucking great, Nick. I'm interested in just about everything. I'm smart and funny and fluent in Spanish and speedy at many things, including running. I don't understand most jokes, but I understand the very esoteric ones. I love old films, like black and white films. Why is that part funny?
What, as if, like,
What?
old films are better than new films?
No, like I grew up on old films, so they're cool.
And that's what makes you a good person.
Okay, I got really distracted. The question is, tell me about yourself, not what makes you a good person.
Yeah, but you started by saying, I'm an awesome person, here's why.
And then I had a period, and there was, like, new punctuation. It's okay.
Okay. Continue.
Maybe. Okay. That means fight me. What else? Do you still want me to tell you about myself?
Yeah.
Yeah. You just gotta see my smile, and then you'll know.
What was the best day of your life?
I've had many.
Any in particular?
Just like quality days spent with friends, or I had this one day in Seville where I just sat by the water, which reminds me a lot of the canal in Fremont, and it was like the first time I'd found real sushi in Spain. Like, I'd had it like my first night in the country, but it was like, oh my god, it's sushi and you can take it to go. Like, they understand both concepts. Whoa. And like a Japanese person prepared it, which like was like, whoa.
You're a big sushi fan.
It's not some random person. Has that come up before?
Well, we were talking about sushi today.
Were we?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I believe you.
Briefly. I mean, we were walking past the Mexican sushi restaurant.
Oh, that place is iconic. Yeah.
Mm.
R.I.P. No, and this day was very weird because I was like on the phone with a long-term partner, and there was this guy in a one-person kayak who kept kayaking by and smiling at me, and I finally waved, and I got off the phone, and he came over in his kayak. He was 60 years old and started hitting on me, and it was the funniest experience I've ever had, because like he would have to have gotten out of this like tiny, he was telling me like, oh, I bet you can't get into a one-person kayak as good as I can. I was like, I bet I speak 2 languages more fluently than you do and can get into this kayak better than you.
You didn't fall for it.
No, obviously not.
Okay.
But it was like, he was like, let me...
It's like, sorry, I have to make this joke.
Let's
It's
go.
like a person rolling up to someone in a van and saying like, hey, I bet you can't get into this van.
I know, I was like, how could a man this old be so unsuave and be speaking such a, like, suave language? Like, it's not like the language isn't helping him out. Yeah, and I was 10 feet above him, right, like, sitting on the water, like, staring down at him. I was like, no. He was like, let me give you my number if you ever want a, like, tour guide of the real Seville. And I was like, this is so cringy. I have to write his number down to, like, screenshot and, like...
Yeah.
humiliate him from miles away with my friends. Yeah, obviously nothing happened, but it was a great day, and then he left me the fuck alone, and I got to watch the sunset, and it was great.
What's something that's overrated?
Would you laugh? No, I don't even mean that, though. Something that's overrated.
What? I didn't hear what you said.
I didn't say it, that's why. What's overrated?
Fine. I guess I can just listen to what you said. Maybe the mic picked up.
No,
What
I
my
didn't.
ears
I
didn't.
didn't say the word, so it's okay.
We'll find out.
I'm thinking of things that are overrated. I think tech jobs are really overrated. Yeah.
I mean, do people rate them in like a positive way?
No,
though?
nobody likes tech jobs, so I guess it's not overrated. They're just rated.
Yeah.
What's overrated? I think van life is overrated. I think there's something to be said for having, like, a life in a house or in a condo.
Do you have a lot of friends who try to do van life and try to sell you on it?
You think people my age can afford that right now?
If they make certain choices, yeah.
Yeah, well, my friends don't make those choices, so no. But I see it online a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, no.
You are probably right that, like, if you're young and you're doing the van life, you probably have a healthy trust fund to draw from.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, shit. What's something underrated?
Underrated. Fuzzy slippers. Big fuzzy blankets. Like, lots of fluffy blankets. I think licorice tea is incredibly underrated, and more people should try it. What else is underrated? I think walking in the middle of the street at night is underrated.
Me too.
You do?
I was just telling my friend about that the other day.
Tell me.
Just because late at night, you don't have to worry about cars, and I don't know, it's like surprisingly freeing, liberating, and you just feel like you have so much space, and you feel like, I have so many visceral memories of being a teenager and like walking home from a party at night.
Oh, from a party, okay.
Yeah.
When did you start walking in the middle of the street at night?
I mean, consistently when I was like 18.
Oh, I started much younger than you did.
Yeah,
wow.
you were cooler than me.
Yeah, I was much cooler. I also, this isn't very cool, but I was, like, in a new area listening to Panic at the Disco for the first time.
Okay, now like, I'm cooler. I wasn't listening to music. I was just walking.
Well, no, okay, I was doing both. But it was, like, I was trying to get to know my new neighborhood because we just moved, and it was like, oh my god, I'm going to listen to this music that I didn't know was 10 years old at the time, but was still very good. Like, Pretty Odd. The album is what I'm thinking of. Yeah, and just getting to know the area by walking around at night. But I have a close friend who we just, like, cars would show up and we'd be like, okay, go past us. And then we wouldn't get hit. It was great.
You didn't run to hide in bushes or, like, behind a fence when cars drove by?
No, we would, like, go to the sidewalk for a second and then go back out into the street. Seattle's, like, pretty safe. Why would you... I'm
saying because it's fun. It's fun to, like, pretend that they're looking for you.
How many bushes do you think? I mean, like,
lots.
Blackberry bushes are really hard to hide in, let me tell you.
Fences and bushes and trees.
What fences do you know by? Like,
not around here. I'm talking about where I grew up.
Okay, fine. I just didn't have the
I'm
same
just realizing that I
experience.
was, like, a lot cooler than you because you're like, oh, go around. Whereas we were all like, oh, fuck, we're going to get arrested. Even though we knew we weren't going to get arrested.
Wow, you grew up in the suburbs of, like, Northern California.
Yeah.
You think you're cooler than me. That's rough.
Yeah, it was dope. I was sick. What's the hardest you've ever laughed?
Oh, man, I laugh hard all the time. I cry often. You haven't made me laugh till I cry yet, and I'm waiting for the moment because you're pretty damn funny.
Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. Hardest I've ever laughed. There've just been some really silly moments. Also, like, secondhand moments. They're usually just, like, things I don't remember now, but they happened. They were the best.
Mm-hmm.
Real ones know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm. What's something you remember saving up money for as a kid?
I was never quite clear on what I should save money for. I'm sure there was some cool... what even was it? Yeah, I decided that American Girl dolls weren't worth it. Like, periodically. I was like, no, absolutely not. What did I even buy myself? I'd go to Archie McPhee's periodically, which is on 45th
What's
and
that?
Stoneway. It's like a tchotchke score. One more time. Chots. Do you know the word I'm trying to say?
Tchotchke.
Tchotchke store. Yes. So everything used to be a quarter. It's now between 75 cents and $1. But it's just like random plastic shit. Very fun. Also like the sock store.
Mm-hmm.
But it was mostly ice cream, I think. And hot chocolate.
Is there a pair of socks that you've bought that you remember from the sock store? That you're like, fuck yeah.
Okay, maybe the only pair of socks I've ever bought from the sock store since it was in the past 6 months, and they have corkies on them, and I have no regrets.
But nothing expensive that you can think of when you were a kid? You're like, gotta save up for a few months so I can afford this.
I don't think so. Nothing like your Razor scooter.
Sure.
Yeah, which made like relatives were always kind of annoyed that I didn't know what I wanted for Hanukkah, and they still are. It's like, I don't know, like.
Mm-hmm. Gets tougher the older you get, by the way.
It's always been hard though. Like, I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
something, and they come up with something amazing. Like, I never would have thought of a racer scooter. Yeah.
Last question.
I'm ready.
What's the prettiest slash most handsome you've ever felt?
I feel pretty handsome most of the time. Yeah. It's genuinely when I'm just, like, having a, like, really good time with a bunch of friends. I'm just like, damn, I'm fucking handsome. Let's go.
I kind of feel that way too. I mean, like, I have one default story about that I go to, but, yeah, most of the time it's like, if I'm hanging out with my friends, like my best, closest friends, and I just feel like I'm the prime version of myself, and I feel very good about who I am and what I'm doing and everything in life.
Right?
Mhm.
Yeah, it's the best.
And that's, yeah, more empowering than just, like, seeing yourself in a mirror and being like, okay. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thanks for being part of the Nick and Friends podcast. You're the first person I've interviewed in Seattle.
Oh, really?
My first new friend.
Wow, you didn't tell me any of this. You really told me very little about this before coming.
Yeah, you're only the fourth person I've done it with.
Wow. Honored. Lucky number 4.
Mhm.
You didn't ask me what my favorite number is, but it is 4. Yeah.
Is it your lucky number?
I don't know. I just like it because it's a nice even square. And it squares easily.
Mm-hmm.
And becomes a square root easily.
It's one of my lucky numbers. I have 4 and 11.
It just those show up in your life.
Yeah.
Okay.
When I was a kid, there was this thing called Oktoberfest. And okay, but it's different than what you're thinking. It was like the school, like elementary school I went to, put it on every year, and it was just like a bunch of different booths and
With beer.
yeah,
And
beer.
Windstrom.
All the kids got beer.
Good.
Um,
NorCal, anything's possible.
yeah. But there was this thing called the cakewalk, and it was like a bunch of people would walk around this giant circle, and it was divided into like 20, triangle, like pie slices, basically.
Okay.
And you'd walk around a circle, and then music would be playing, and once the music stopped, they'd draw a random number between 1 and 20, and whoever was standing on that number got to take home a cake that someone had baked.
Is that what a cakewalk is?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think. I mean, at least in
I
this
feel
case.
like it has many definitions that I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure it's something, it's like everyone makes a cake, and then people walk 5Ks or something like that, and they get cake at the end, but, yeah, most of the time I did that, I'd land on 11, and I'd win.
Whoa.
And there was even a time I remember where I landed on 11, and before they even called out the number, I was like, land on 11, like, I got it, and I won.
Wow.
And then also 4 happened, like, twice, so 4
With the cakewalk,
and
so
11.
you won a lot of cakes
Mm-hmm.
by being in the right place at the right time.
Yep.
Damn, that's a good way to be.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah,
Thanks.
great way to be a kid. But yeah, thank you too.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Mm-hmm.